Nirnaya, Nirnayaka, I don't remember exactly, but
the Brahma Sutra or the Vedanta Sutra is a very small work. It has 500, less than 600 sutras. There are different types of literature in Sanskrit. There is poetry, padya. There is prose, gadya. And the third category is sutra. In a sutra, the bare minimum amount of words is presented. Sutras require explanations. Now, the Vedanta Sutra is considered, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, it is considered number 2. Number 1 being Srimad Bhagavatam itself. Number 2 is the Vedanta Sutra. That is because it holds the key to a proper understanding of the Vedic body of knowledge.
So it's the second most important literature in the Gaudiya tradition.
Yeah, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. And outside of the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, they will say that it is the number 1. Its focus is to clarify certain statements of the Vedic scriptures. Most of the commentators say it is to clarify the statements of the primary Upanishads. So it clarifies the teachings of the Upanishads, and therefore it is considered so important. It helps us correctly understand the intended meaning, purport, tatparya of the Upanishads. So the Govinda Bhasya is Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan's own commentary, somewhat detailed commentary on the Vedanta Sutra following Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay.
All right. So I remember some time ago, Shotra Maharaj made this connection between Bhagavatam and Vedanta Sutra. So somebody else did this, like connecting the sutras to the verses from Bhagavatam, or it's kind of unique work by Maharaj?
No. He himself based it on some scholars who had worked on it prior.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a good work.
Mm-hmm.
Good work.
Well, maybe now we can try to go through the first sutras and adhikaranas.
Yeah, the first 11 sutras are considered by Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan as the summary of the entire Vedanta Sutra. It is considered to be a good introduction to Vedanta philosophy also. So these first 11 sutras are presented in the form of 5 sections. Each section is called an adhikarana, topic of discussion. And in what I'm showing here, on the left, I'll be displaying the text of the Govinda Bhasya and transliterated. On the right, Bhanuswami Maharaj's translation. This is a Kindle edition. He has translated the Adhikarana as a section. Now here we note 1.1.1. That is because Vedanta Sutra is divided into 4 parts. And each part, these 4 parts, each part is called an Adhyaya. Literally, Adhyaya means chapter. And each Adhyaya or chapter contains 4 subparts. They are called padas. Pada means a quarter. 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, quarter. And then you have sutras. So you have 1.1.1, which means first part, second subpart, and then you have sutra number. Now, the commentators, they group these sutras under sections. So the sections vary according to the commentaries.
So that means that there are different adhikaranas according to different commentaries.
Yeah. The commentators, they group the sutras differently. But the adhyayas and padas are fixed by Vyasadeva himself. So 1.1.1 means first adhyaya, first pada, first sutra. So first we'll see Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary, and then you'll find the name of the first section, and then afterwards the first sutra will be introduced. First sutra.
So first Adhikarana, then the sutra.
Yeah, because an Adhikarana comes, sutra, one or more sutras come within Adhikarana. You'll have to explain why that section exists. There's a lot of thought behind it. In fact, the intellect of Vedic culture can best be seen in the various explanations and polemics and arguments this way, that way in Vedanta Sutra. The direct commentaries, they are there from various schools. And then there are plenty of monographs, prakarana granthas, which take up particular issues, particular styles of commentations, and they critique them, and a large, voluminous literature is there on this. Okay, let's start. Satyam Jnanamahantam Brahma Shivadistutam Bhajadrupam Govindam Tamachintyam Hetum, this type, Adosham, Namasyamaha, Sutram Shabistamamsi Vidasya Vastuni Yah Parikshayete, this type, Parikshaya or Parikshyate, Sajayati Satyavateyo Hare Ramavritto Nata Preshtaha. I offer respects. This is all Baladev Vidyabhushan. I offer respects to the worshipable form of Govinda, who is Brahman, identical with existence, knowledge, and bliss, who is praised by Shiva and others, and who is inconceivable, without fault, and the cause of all things. May the Lord, who is Vyasa, the son of Satyavati, who is dear to the surrendered souls and spreads himself everywhere, and who, destroying darkness by the rays of his sutras, reveals real knowledge, remain ever glorious. Vyasa is the author of the Vedanta Sutra. So here the Vedanta
Vyasa,
Sutra is.
Yes, our Vyasa, he's directly Narayana or he's Jiva?
Krishna Dvaipana Vyasa is Narayana himself. Vyasa is a post, but sometimes the Supreme Lord himself assumes that post. Here, the Vedanta Sutra, as the book Vedanta Sutra is compared to a sun, and each sutra is compared to a ray, the sun ray. Okay. When the Vedas were destroyed in Dwapar Yuga by false philosophies, the Supreme Lord, on the request of Brahma and others of limited knowledge, appearing as Vyasa, recovered the Vedas and divided them up. He revealed the Brahma Sutras in 4 chapters to explain the meaning of the Vedas. This is described in the Skanda Purana. False philosophies, destroying the Vedas simply means that Vedic knowledge was not properly understood. So in that sense, the Vedas were destroyed. Not that the Vedas actually disappeared. That is not the idea. It's just that the purpose of the Vedas were destroyed by false philosophy. Now those false philosophies will now be enlisted. False philosophy means misunderstandings. The Supreme Lord, the technical expression you'll find here, Purushottama. Purushottama is a standard name for Lord Vishnu. Just as Shiva, even though Shiva means auspicious, Shiva conventionally refers to the husband of Parvati. So like that, Purushottama means the Supreme Person, but it conventionally refers to Lord Vishnu.
Yeah.
It so happens that the unintelligent think that karma, prescribed action, material duties, will give the highest benefit to humanity, that Vishnu is an anga of karma. That means Vishnu is an aspect of the performance of these prescribed duties. Worship of Vishnu is a part of this. That the results of karma, like Swarga, are eternal, that the Jiva and Prakriti are independent doers, that the Jiva is a fragment of Brahman, limited by time and space, or the Jiva is a reflection of Brahman in the intelligence, or the Jiva is Brahman in illusion, and that the Jiva can end samsara by understanding that he is Brahman, which is consciousness itself. So this is a sample of the misconceptions that had overtaken the standard understanding of the Vedas.
So this sounds like different types of Mayavad philosophies. The first one is
no, the first one is Purva Mimamsa.
okay.
The first two or even three.
Okay.
And that the Jiva and Prakriti are independent doers, that is from other schools. That the Jiva is, then the next three or next four, this is Mayavada. This is Mayavada.
Yes.
Taking these false arguments, Vyasa in the Brahma Sutras explains that the Supreme Vishnu is independent. Is, wait, oh, this is like this.
Yeah, how do you move the page? Huh?
Okay, it is moving. Correct. It is moving. Taking these false arguments, Vyasa in the Brahma Sutras explains that the Supreme Vishnu is independent, is the cause of all causes, is omniscient, and is the very form of knowledge and dharmas, such as the four human goals. So, Vyasadeva, what he has done, he has taken these teachings as Purva Paksha. In the Vedic system of argumentation, you consider your opposing school as the ideology that has to be first of all stated. First, you state your opponent's ideology, and better do it correctly. Otherwise, you'll be attacking a straw man. So first of all, you state that. And then after stating that, then you can logically refute it. So Vyasadeva considers these as his Purva Pakshas, his opponent's views. And then he explains that the Supreme Lord Vishnu or the Transcendental Vishnu is independent, cause of all actions, and so on. That he is Umartha. He has the nature of being the ultimate goal, and that he is fully spiritual. That is how he is described.
So it's interesting that he takes as Purva Pakshas only Vedic schools. He doesn't even deal so much.
No. He takes up. The other schools are also there. This is only a sample.
Okay.
He does take up. In the second chapter of the Vedanta Sutra, he takes up anti-Vedic schools also for discussion.
Buddhists, Jains.
Buddhism, according to Madhvacharya, he takes up even Charvaka. He takes up. The sutras are deliberately worded in such a manner that they can have more than one meaning. That is one reason. Because it is meant to be Vishwatomukham. It is meant to cover a wide range. It has a wide range of scope in the world of philosophy. So therefore, Vyasadeva has intentionally written it like that. But he has also provided Srimad Bhagavatam, which is meant to clarify the teachings of the Vedanta Sutra. The sutras delineate 5 essential elements: Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma. That means, according to the Vedanta Sutra, there are 5 elements of existence, 5 substances. There are 5. Ontologically, these are what exist: Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. Among them, the Lord, the Ishvara, is the principal conscious entity. The Jiva is the subordinate conscious entity. Both the Lord and the Jiva have eternal qualities like knowledge and have the sense of I. They are knowers, arising from the sense of I. They are knowers of knowledge. This is not contradictory, for one sees that light reveals itself as well as other objects. Vibhu Chaitanyam Ishvara. The principal conscious entity means that he is all pervasive. Principal means all pervasive, Vibhu. The Jiva is subordinate conscious entity. Anu is the exact expression that you see. Anu means minute. It means finite, atomic. But both of them have eternal qualities, like knowledge. Knowledge means awareness. And have the sense of I. That means that they are self-aware. Material items do not possess self-awareness. But both the Jiva and Ishvara are self-aware. They also know others and they know about that knowledge itself. But the Lord is independent, possessing Shakti. What did I do? Possessing Shakti as his very nature. He supports the universe by entering it and regulating it, and bestows enjoyment and liberation to the Jivas in the material world. Though he is one, he manifests many forms, and though indivisible, with no differentiation, is perceived by the wise as an object having qualities, as having differentiation.
Is this the same as Vishesha?
Yes. We will come to that. We'll come to it much later in Vedanta Sutra. This is what is known as differentiation or Vishesha. You will see that. Though invisible, he is revealed by bhakti. Though self-existent pleasure itself, he gives this form of knowledge and happiness to the devotees. Okay.
Yeah. So the Lord is absolute, but at the same time, he is perceivable because of his mercy, right?
Yes, only by his mercy. If he chooses, then he allows himself to be seen. He can be attained by one whom he chooses.
I remember in Lagu Bhagavatamrita there was a discussion. There was the Purva Paksha was if the Lord is the very fact. So the argument is we have material senses, and with these material senses we see only material objects. The very fact that the Lord appears in the purview of our senses proves that he is material. So this is the Purva Paksha. And then Rupa Goswami explains that no, he chooses to appear in his spiritual form and he makes our senses to perceive.
Become capable.
Yes, so it's the other way around. It's not the material Mayabhat explanation. Yeah.
The Jivas, however, are many in various conditions. They are in bondage because of being inimical to the Supreme Lord. When they become favorable to the Lord, they directly perceive the Lord's Swarupa and other components and destroy the two types of bondage. The two types of bondage causing coverings. The two types of coverings which bring about bondage. So, which are that which hides the Lord's form and that which hides his qualities.
So, what are these two? Is this connected to the two functions of Maya, Avaratmika, Shakti, and
let me look at the original. First of all, the Jivatmas are Anekavastaha. They are in various states. The Supreme Lord is not in various states. The Supreme Lord is always liberated. Because the living entities are not like that. First of all, they can be liberated or conditioned. That's one thing. Then when they are liberated, they can be in varied states of liberation. Or when they are conditioned, they can be in varied states of conditioning also. Then apart from that, there are also Bahavaha. There are many Jivatma. There's only one Ishvara. There's only one God. In the various scriptures, there's only one Supreme Being, Lord Vishnu. Paresha Vaimukya Tesham Bandhasta Samukya to Tat Swarupa Tat Guna Gunavarana Rupa Dvidha Bandhan Nivrittis Tat Swarupadi Sakshat Kriti. There are two types of bondage. One bondage is when the Swarupa, of course, this Tat Swarupa can refer to the living entity himself. His own Swarupa is being covered up, and his qualities are also being covered up.
Okay.
That Swarupadi Sakshat Kriti. When these two types of bondages are cut out, then one experiences his nature and his own qualities. Of course, corresponding to these are the Supreme Lord's nature and Supreme Lord's qualities. Prakriti is a state of equilibrium of the three gunas. It is also called tamas and maya. On receiving the glance of the Lord, Prakriti becomes capable of generating the variegated universe. Kala or time is the cause of our ability to speak of states like simultaneous, quick and slow, past, present, and future, moving like a wheel, measured in short moments, and the lifetime of Brahma Parardha. Time gives rise to creation and destruction of the universe. It is an unconscious substance. These four items are eternal. So Kala moves like a cycle, Chakravat, you notice this. Time is cyclical. It moves around like a wheel. It is, therefore, we notice the seasons are regular. We also notice that every time a Jivatma is given a gross body, then it undergoes a cycle. So this is a very important concept. In today's world, the vast majority don't understand it. They think time is linear. It's not linear, it is cyclic. It is cyclic. And there are different units of time. The lowest unit is a kshana, moment. In general parlance, the lowest unit is a kshana. And the highest is a parardha. Parardha is half of Brahma's life. He lives for two such units, two halves of his life. So these four items are eternal. Amongst these five, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, and Kala are eternal. They're also substances, dravyas. There's a difference between dravya and avastha. Vedanta Deshika talks about it.
What's the difference?
For instance, I'll give an example. In the ocean, we have waves. A wave is not a substance. It is not a dravya. It is an avastha. It is a state. Water is a substance. But a wave is a state. We may talk about avasthas, states, as if they are substances. So we say that wave is approaching. But if you had to say that, say somebody's throwing a football at you, then you say, from a distance you see, and you say, oh, football is approaching me. Now that football is a substance, whereas the wave is not a substance. A wave is a state. It is a state of existence, whereas a dravya has trikalika satta. It exists in the past and present and future, and it is not sublated by any avadita vastu. It is not sublated by any other any source of valid knowledge. Like in a dream, you may dream of something, okay, but when you wake up, you realize it doesn't exist. So it has been sublated. It has been cancelled. You realize that it never existed. So Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala are eternal substances. Nityo Nityanam Chetanam. The Lord is the chief eternal and the chief conscious entity. Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.13. Gaur Anad Janantavati Prakriti, resembling a cow, is without beginning and an end. Chulika Upanishad 5. Saddeva Saumya Idamagra Asit. The eternal Lord existed before everything else. Chandogya Upanishad 6.2.1. So, Iti Shrute, these are all evidence from the Shruti that proves that Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, and Kala are eternal substances. However, the Jiva, Prakriti, and Kala are subservient to the Lord. So, Vishwakrit, Vishwavid, Atmayonir, Yah, Kalakaro, Guni, Sarvavidya, Prathana Kshetragya, Patir Gunesha, Samsara, Moksha, Sthitibandha Hetu. He is the creator of the universe, the knower of the universe, his own source, the knower, the controller of time, the possessor of qualities, and the omniscient one. He is the master of Prakriti and the Jivas, the lord of the Gunas, and the cause of bondage, maintenance, and liberation from samsara. Samsara means the cycle of birth and rebirth. Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.16. So, on the basis of this Shvetashvatara statement, we understand that Jiva, Prakriti, and Kala are under the control of Ishvara. Karma is unconscious and is also known as Adrishta. It is without beginning and subject to destruction. Anadi, Vinashi.
So without beginning means, just like Srila Prabhupada explains, nobody remembers when it came about, although the Lord does know. That's what it means?
It is within material existence. Karma has no beginning. Karma is first of all part of material existence, like Kala is also part of material existence. Prakriti, Kala, Karma, this are the three basic elements that contribute to material existence.
So
The
in a sense,
Jivatmas can be here or they can be in the spiritual world.
yeah.
But Prakriti is always here. Kala is always here. Karma is here. Here, karma actually refers to karmic reaction.
Yeah.
It is actually an entity. Many of us are not able to understand this point. It is an entity. When I perform a pious activity, there is something like a plus point that is attached to my subtle body. It is an entity. It has to be dealt with, just like you get a virus when you get infected and so on. So like that, it is an entity. So punya, karmic reaction, papa, karmic reaction. So we talk about sins being attached. In all the religions of the world, they talk about sins being attached. If a person unnecessarily harms someone or if he kills someone, then in various monotheistic religions, they say, no, but sin is now attached to you. Your sin is going to come to us since we are your family members. This kind of talk is there because that papa, that sinful reaction, is now attached to your subtle body. So it is something. It is an unseen entity, adrishta. It is without beginning, but it is subject to destruction. One can destroy all of one's punya or papa karma. Scriptures do talk about that. Because these four, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma, are the Shaktis of Brahman, there is agreement with the Advaita claim that there is one Brahman who possesses various Shaktis. The exact statement is Chaturnamesham Brahma Shaktitpad Ekam Shaktimat Brahmeti Advaita Vakyepi Sankatir. Even though there are statements in the scriptures that there is only one non-dual truth, that statement is true. It can be reconciled by understanding that there is only one Brahman who possesses everything else as its potency, as its potencies. These four are to be understood as Brahman's potencies. In Vedanta Darshana, in Vedanta philosophy, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan are synonyms. So when we talk about Brahman, we are talking of Paramatma, and we are talking of Bhagavan, and we are talking of Krishna. In Vaishnava theology, it refers to Vishnu. Brahma Shabdascha Vishnu Eva, Madhvacharya says, or Ramanujacharya says, Brahman refers to Narayana. These topics will be revealed in their appropriate places in the 4 chapters, also called Lakshanas. Each chapter is called the Lakshana. So this is known as Chatur Lakshani. Vedanta Sutra is called Chatur Lakshani. These topics are also described in Bhagavatam, which explains the meaning of the sutras. Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranihite Male Apashyat Purusham Purnam Mayam Shatadapashrayam. In that mind, which was undisturbed because it was pure from the performance of Bhakti, Vyasa saw Krishna, complete with all his energies and spiritual expansions, and also saw Maya, who took shelter behind the Lord.
So this is very interesting because this is our proof, right? Because Vyasadeva, he with pure mind, he saw the reality, and now he reveals the reality to us. So it's just like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Tattvadarshi, he saw the truth.
Yeah. Vyasadeva's Samadhi is the starting point of Srimad Bhagavatam. And therefore, Jiva Goswami successfully argues in his Sandarbhas that if you want to understand the intended meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam, you need to first of all start with the starting point. How did the Bhagavatam begin? It began when Vyasadeva was instructed to engage in Samadhi to see the truth and then describe the truth. So what he saw is what Jiva Goswami first of all analyzes in Tattva Sandarbha. And he proves that, therefore, the Bhagavatam has to be a Vaishnava work. It cannot be an impersonalistic work. So those statements are also referred to here. Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam paropi manutena tatkritam chalhi padyate. Bewildered by that Maya, the jiva, though separate from the 3 gunas, considers himself made of the 3 gunas and takes on material existence created by the guna. Arthopashamam sakshat bhakti yogam athokshaje lokasya janato vidvams chakre satwata samhitam. Vyasa saw that bhakti yoga to the Lord. He saw that bhakti yoga to the Lord effectively destroys the jiva's samsara, the jiva's experience of matter. Learned Vyasa then wrote the Bhagavatam for ignorant people. So this is all 1.7.4 to 6 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Dravyam karma cha kalascha swabhava jivaiva cha yad anugrahatah santi na santi yadupekshaya. By connection with the Lord, matter, karma, time, and swabhava. Swabhava means nature. And the totality of jivas can produce effects. Without his presence, they have no power to produce effect. This is Bhagavatam 2.10.12. Iticha evam atiphi. And there are other statements like this, which prove that Srimad Bhagavatam deals with the very same subject matters that are dealt with in the Vedanta Sutra. This Dravyam Karma Cha Kalascha is quoted by Madhvacharya, one of the verses from Bhagavatam that he likes. He often quotes it. It is stated in Smriti that Bhagavatam acts as the commentary on the sutras. Arthoyam Brahma Sutranam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the commentary on Vedanta Sutra. In the first chapter of the Brahma Sutras, it is shown that all the Vedas indicate Brahman as the highest object. Sarvesham Vedanam Brahmani Samanvayaha. In the first chapter, it is pointed out that all the Vedic statements are harmoniously describing Brahman. Of course, as the highest object, but they are doing so in a harmonious manner. In other words, the Vedas have a single focus. It's not the Vedas are all bahumukhi, just talking different things. It's not like that.
This is what usually the mundane scholars they try to establish, that there is contradiction. Here it is stated this, and there is contradictory statement. So that means there is no unified purpose, and therefore
that is why Vyasadeva presents Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Sutra to point out that they are all focused on Brahman, on realization of Brahman. It is very carefully presented in Vedanta Sutra. When you study Govinda Bhasya, you get some good understanding. Govinda Bhasya itself has a sub-commentary. And when it is studied further with that sub-commentary, then things become even more clear. Of course, if one studies Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and then Srimad Bhagavatam, then also the subject matter becomes very, very clear. Much more clear. In the second chapter, it is shown that this conclusion is not contrary to the to other scriptures.
So this is the harmonizing, bringing together. Second chapter.
Dutiye Sarvashastra Avirodha. It does not contradict other scriptural statements. There are no contradictions. That is pointed out here. In fact, it is pointed out that if there are any contradictions with other philosophies, the areas where they oppose the teaching of the Upanishads, the factual teaching of the Upanishads, those areas are proven to be irrational. So when the Sankhya philosophers or the Buddhists, when they argue against specific teachings of the Upanishads, it is pointed out that those arguments are based on some irrational misconception. In the third chapter, the various methods or sadhanas to attain Brahman are described. In the fourth chapter, the result of sadhana, which is attaining Brahman, is described.
What about when Shankaracharya argues that Vyasadeva is wrong? Is this also irrational?
If Vyasadeva is wrong, first of all, how you can accept the Veda? Because he is the one who compiled the Veda. And if Vyasadeva is wrong, then what is the point of commenting on the Vedanta Sutra also?
Yeah.
The qualified person or adhikari for this work is a person with pure heart, devoid of material desires, who is greedy for the association of spiritual people, who is endowed with great faith and possesses qualities such as peacefulness.
So this is the adhikar of the reader.
This is the target audience.
Yeah.
Vyasadeva is writing for these persons.
So in Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Rupa Goswami says that he's writing, the book is meant for his friends and well-wishers. So how do you understand this?
His well-wishers are those who are surrendered to Lord Sri Krishna.
Okay.
And the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So that comes out to be the same. If you analyze Srimad Bhagavatam also, you'll find that all of these are meant to be there. One's heart has to be pure, one has to be sinless, and so on. The sambandha is that the words of this work describe the subject Brahman. So what is the relationship between this book and its topic? The relationship is one of description. The words of this work describe the subject Brahman.
What could be other relationship between the work and the subject besides description?
Theoretically speaking, you can have a book which can just hint about a subject, like a kavya literature, does not directly talk. That possibility is there.
Okay.
A book can be a very practical book, like an Ayurvedic text may be a very practical book.
Manual.
It could be a manual which gives you procedures to adopt, verify, and understand. So it could
Okay.
be that also.
Mm.
Sambandha also has the sense of reference. What is the central point of a reference? What is the center of the discussion? Prabhupada often uses this expression center, keeping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the center, keeping Krishna in the center. That means wherever you go, you have to keep coming back to the center. It's pivoted on that. So what is the center of this book? The center of this book is Brahman. First of all, the book has a center. It has a central topic. And all topics here are connected to that central topic. So what is that central topic? That central topic is Brahman.
Yeah, so this is very important in interpreting the work also, right? Because if you know the topic, then it will be easier to understand the work itself.
Like for instance, Srimad Bhagavatam, if you understand the intent of Vyasadeva right from the beginning, through an analysis of that samadhi, then even if you come across wordings which are misinterpreted by the impersonalists, you understand that no, Vyasadeva, it is not logically possible for Vyasadeva to have an impersonalistic intent while stating this because it contradicts his own experience. So it is handy and useful to know what is the central point of reference. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has referred to Sambandha as a reference, central point of reference. The subject or Vishaya is the faultless Supreme Lord. Endowed with eternity, knowledge, and bliss, possessing unlimited inconceivable Shaktis and possessing unlimited pure qualities. The goal or prayojana is to realize the Lord after having destroyed countless faults. All this will become clear later.
So how do we define inconceivable Shakti?
A potency whose nature cannot be fully understood. The concept of inconceivable will be clear now. It's one of the topics. What exactly is meant by that? It's not that you cannot understand anything about it. That's not the meaning. It will become clear. Vishayah Niravadyah Vishuddha Ananta Gunaganaha Achintya Ananta Shakti. He possesses unlimited, inconceivable qualities. So that Purushottama, as I mentioned, Purushottama conventionally refers to Lord Vishnu. Purushottama is Sachidananda by nature. Prayojanam tu Ashesha Dosha Vinasha Purasa. First of all, destruction of all defects, and then direct experience of him. To realize the Lord after having destroyed countless faults. The faults are sinful reactions and so on. These are all considered faults. When we engage in activities which are not beneficial for ourselves or others, then it is considered a fault. So these are all prohibited in the Vedic scriptures.
So this means that they will give some temporary satisfaction of the senses, but they are unbeneficial.
Lust, anger, greed. These are in Bhagavad Gita also we come across these as 3 gateways to hell. So these are all only temporarily they may appear to be titillating.
The 6 enemies.
The 6 enemies and so on. So there are unlimited, so many defects like this. So when these defects are removed, then one will become capable of seeing the Lord. And this Vedanta Sutra is going to help in that. There are 5 parts to each topic or adhikarana within the pada or section of the chapter. Okay, so that means the translator here refers to a pada as a section. And then adhikarana, he's referring to it as a topic, which is okay. So you have in this translation, you have chapter, section, topic. Actually, it is chapter, section, and sutra, but the sutras are grouped in topics.
Mm-hmm.
Vishaya, subject, Samshaya, doubt, Purvapaksha, objection, Siddhanta, conclusion, and Sangati, agreement. It is not just agreement with other scriptures, it is harmony or the harmonious flow. As the sub-commentary, the commentary on Govinda Bhasya explains, the Sangatis of different types, harmony between one topic and another, the way you interpret it, because each commentator will work out different topics. So then your own explanation has to be harmonious with yourself. You yourself cannot have some internally unharmonious interpretation. There has to be harmony between one section and another. There has to be a harmony between one chapter and another. And there has to be harmony between what is taught in the Vedanta Sutra and what is presented in the scriptures, other scriptures, like the Upanishads, for instance. So that you'll have to work out the harmony. You'll have to point out how this does not contradict that. The subject or Vishaya is a statement of something worthy of discussion.
So this is the pratigya, right?
It is a topic of discussion. It is the equivalent of a pratigya. The topic of discussion. See, the Vedanta Sutra is a thematic analysis of the Upanishads. So it takes up certain key statements and analyzes it through brief wordings in the form of sutras to help us understand correctly what it means. So now those, they are called Vishaya Vakyas, subject statements, the chosen statements from the Upanishad. Like for instance, here we'll notice he takes something from Chandogya Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, sometimes he takes some different. Now each commentator has a different set of Vishaya Vakyas. Okay. So Ramanujacharya will give certain Vishaya Vakyas, Madhvacharya will give some other Vishaya Vakyas, and so on. So Vishaya is that it's a statement which is worthy of discussion. Why is it worthy of discussion? One reason is because it helps us understand the overall Mahatatparya, the overall grand purport of the entire body of Upanishadic literature. Another reason is maybe it is misunderstood, or maybe it can be very easily misunderstood. So therefore, Vyasadeva has particular ideas, particular statements in mind.
Is this the same as Mahavakyas?
No, the Shankarite idea of Mahavakya is that there are some 4 statements, and they think that these statements are the real truth. The other statements are to eventually inspire you and make you qualified to understand these 4 statements.
So it's like similar to Karika verse, to no, not to Karika, to
No. They are not. These are Tattva Avedaka. These convey the truth. But these are the chief statements which convey the truth. There are other statements which convey the truth, and there are plenty of statements which don't convey the truth at all. According to my order, do not convey the truth. Atattva Avedaka. So we oppose that. We say, no,
Yeah.
how can you say something like that? How can you say that it is false? Everything that is put out in the Shruti, especially in the Upanishads, they are true. You have to explain how they are true and how these ones are also true. You cannot say that those ones are false. Now, Shankaracharya has in mind Arundhati Pradarshana Nyaya while bringing up that concept. In this is a common example. If you want to identify the star known as Arundhati at night, then typically you point out a larger and brighter star. And first you identify that larger, brighter star as Arundhati, just to get your attention to the right part of the night sky. Sky is vast. How do you know where to look at? So first of all, they point out, look at that bright star up there. That is Arundhati. So you're looking up. And then you're told, and look at that one on the right, that dim, tiny little star. That is the real Arundhati. So this is called Arundhati Pradarshana Nyaya, the logic of the principle of pointing out the location of Arundhati. So in their way of thinking, first of all, they say that the personality of Ishvara, Vishnu, he is described as Brahman. So they also know that Vishnu is described as Brahman in so many places in the Upanishads. That is because you are incapable of understanding the impersonal Brahman, Nirvishesha Brahman. So in effect, what they are saying is the Upanishads are speaking something untrue, false, whereas we don't accept that. This is not how we accept it. We say, no. The Upanishads are actually correct. When the Upanishads say that there is a supreme being who is Brahman, that is actually correct. But he does not have the faults of mundane, of anything mundane, anyone or anything mundane. So the Vaishnava philosophers, they counter with that. They counter. And they point out that because the Shankarite group, they say, look, there are personalistic statements. There are impersonalistic statements. There are statements which say that Brahman has certain qualities, like he is omniscient, he is good, he is the creator of the universe, and so on. Then there are other statements which says that he does not have any quality. Brahman does not have any qualities. At all, you'll find some statements like that. So their way of explanation is the first set of statements is just the false, step one, falsity, just to draw your attention. And the second set of statements, they are the actual reality. So the Vaishnava philosophers, how we counter it is by saying, no, first of all, you cannot bring up that. You cannot invoke that because Upanishads will not say something which is false. Why would they say something false? It is Vedanta. It is the final conclusion of the Veda. No, that cannot be accepted. So then how do the Vaishnavas explain it? They use Utsarga Apavada Nyaya, the principle of generality and exceptions. Throughout Sanskrit grammar, we come across this. Something is stated as a general rule and something else is stated as an exception. And in the grammar textbooks itself, they give an example. There are some guests who have come to my ashram. So my dear cook, please go and give yogurt to the brahmanas and give buttermilk to Kaundinya, one particular brahman. So what does it mean? Does it mean the cook is supposed to give, because Kaundinya is also a brahmana? So that means Kaundinya should get both yogurt and buttermilk. No, Kaundinya should get only buttermilk. You should get only buttermilk. Because he has been spelt out, it is understood to be an exception. So if one does not understand the principle of generality and exceptions, you cannot even understand Panini's grammar. Because the entire system of grammar is based on that. So we take up, Vaishnava philosophers use Utsargapavada Nyaya to deal with this. So as a general principle, the Supreme Absolute Truth has all these features. But as an exception, it does not have qualities which contradict these features. So just as if you go back to that exception, give yogurt to all the guests, all the brahmanas. All the brahmanas are the visitors. And give buttermilk to Kaundinya. So that means what? That means you give buttermilk to continue. First you deal with the exception. And then you go and look at the others and say, for everyone else, you give that. So even if you take it this way, that at the absolute truth has no quality, all right, fine. Absolute truth has no quality, general principle. But you have to say, as an exception, he does possess spiritual qualities. Satvadayo na santi ishe. In the Supreme Lord, there are no sattva-guna, rajaguna, tamoguna. So then he has all the other qualities. He has non-prakritic qualities. So at least you have to accept that as an exception. So we employ the Utsargapavada principle rather than Arundhati Pradarshana principle.
It's amazing how they can just say that the Upanishads are untrue. They're very akin to Buddhists in this way.
They've been repeatedly accused. Not just by Vaishnavas, even by Bhaskara, who was an Upadika Bheda philosopher. Even in the Brahma Sutra commentary, he accuses the Mayavadis as Buddhists.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue.
Yes.
We should move on. Where is it? On understanding the subject, knowledge should spontaneously arise. Vishaya avagato swayameva vidyotana. This Sangati or flow is of the topic of harmony. It is one of the 5 subjects within each adhikarana. Every topic is meant to have these 5 elements. So this harmony that naturally, knowledge of this harmony naturally comes about. He says that Sangatiriha Shastradi Vishayataya Bahuvidha Api Navitayate. The topic of harmony is not described here. In the Sukshma Tika, the commentary on Govinda Bhasya, it is discussed. But in Govinda Bhasya, it doesn't do it because he says that when you go through it, then you naturally understand the different types of harmony, the different types of flow, basically. On what basis is this topic coming up? Anyway, that's a detailed topic. I will not get into it here. So topic 1, Brahma Jigyasa Adhikarana, inquiry into Brahman. The work starts with the topic called inquiry into Brahman. This is the subject or Vishaya. Yo vai bhumatat sukham namyat sukham asti bhumaiva sukham bhumatveva vijigyasitavyaha. That which is great is happiness. There is no other happiness. That great Brahman is happiness. One must know this great Brahman. Andogya 725:1. Atma va are drashtavya shrotavya mantavyo nididhasitavyo. One should see this Brahman. Hear about it. Hear about him. And think about him. Oh Maitreya, one should know this Brahman. Literally, one should know this Atma. In the Upanishads, Atma is used as a synonym of Brahman. I said Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, these are all synonyms. Atma also primarily refers to Paramatma. Only secondarily it refers to Jivatma in the Upanishads. I think
in Gita?
In his Kathopanishad commentary also, Shankaracharya admits that Atma primarily refers to Paramatma and only secondarily it refers to the Jivatma.
In Gita, Krishna says Aham Atma Gudakesha.
That also is. So these are statements of the Shruti. Iti cha shruyate. These are all statements in the Shruti. Nididhyasitavya means it should be known. Jigyasitavya, it should be inquired. It should be inquired. In other words, this Supreme Soul, this Atma, one should hear about him. Even in the wording here of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, this is all in masculine gender. Drashtavyaha, Shrotavyaha, Mantavyaha, Nididhyasitavyaha. So one should see this Atma, hear about him, think about him. Hear about him. Shrotavyaha, Mantavyaha, think about him. Nididhyasitavyaha, and one should inquire about him. So on the basis of that, the first sutra will come out. So
what
you can see that each sutra is modeled after certain statements. It's not that Vyasadeva is just writing something. It is modeled after certain statements of the scripture.
Yeah.
The doubt, samshaya, this is the second element of a topic. See, in each topic, you are supposed to have 5 elements. It's the second element. The doubt, samshaya, is as follows. Is inquiry into Brahman necessary or not for a person who has studied the Vedas and who knows Dharma? Now, one thing we should know later on in Govinda Bhasya, chapter 3, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan will point out that it's not just knowledge. Knowledge is not just theoretical knowledge. It is knowing, understanding, realizing. So when it says that one should inquire, it means should I desire not just to know Brahman, should I desire to know, understand, and realize Brahman? That's what it means. So that jigyasa indicates that one has a desire to know, understand, and realize. So is inquiry into Brahman necessary or not for a person who has studied the Vedas and who knows Dharma? He's already studied the Vedas. Now, Dharma is the subject matter of the Vedas. We know that from Purva Mimamsa. Athato dharma jigyasa. That is how Jaimini's Purva Mimamsa begins. Dharma is the topic of the entire Purva Mimamsa. That is why he's saying, for a person who has studied the Vedas and who knows Dharma, Adhita Vedasi Pumsaha Dharmagyasya Brahma Jigyasa Yukta Na Yukta Va. So then comes a statement of Purva Bhaksha, an opponent's view. So if I want to refute something, first of all, I have to state it. And after stating it only, then I can refute it. First of all, that proves that I understand my opponent. I have to first of all prove that I understand my opponent. There's no point in opposing a particular ideology. Strictly speaking, this is only a particular point because, when we deal with, in the real world, when we deal with people with whom we differ, it is not that we differ with them on everything. On particular points, we differ. So it is useful to restate those particular points just to ensure, as a principle of logical argumentation, it is very useful to know that I understand what you're thinking. So the Purva Paksha is as follows. It is said, Apama Somo Amrita Bhuma. We have attained immortality by drinking the Soma juice. This is Rigveda 8.18.3. Akshayam Havai Chaturmasya Yajina Sukritam Bhavati. Those who follow the vow of Chaturmasya attain eternal credit. Apastambha Shrauta Sutra. Krishna Yajurveda 8.1.1. Thus, by following Dharma, one attains immortality and unending happiness. Inquiry into Brahman is therefore unnecessary. So, one who is a karmakandi, he thinks that if I just follow ordinary Vedic Dharma, I will attain immortality and unending happiness. And here are 2 sample statements as evidence. Hearing this objection, the Lord Vyasa raises this first sutra at the beginning of the work as the Siddhanta, as the right conclusion, or as the Uttara Paksha, as the answer to that objection. If Purva Paksha means an objection, then Uttara Paksha refers to the response. Siddhanta indicates that it is the conclusive response.
So the Panchanga begins, in the beginning when he states that one should inquire into Brahman. This is the Vishaya, and then there is a doubt.
No. This is the Siddhanta. This is the Siddhanta. That Athato Brahma Jigyasa itself is a Siddhanta.
Yes.
See, in a topic, you have a sutra, okay? And the sutra comes inside a topic. Many sutras may come inside a topic, but that topic will have to deal with 5 elements. So sometimes the sutra itself will be Siddhanta. In fact, most of the times the sutra is the Siddhanta actually. In Madhvacharya's interpretation, every sutra is Siddhanta. In the other commentators, most of the time it is Siddhanta. Hearing this objection, the Lord Vyasa raises this first sutra at the beginning of the work. Bhagavan Badarayana Vyasa. Badarayana is a name of Vyasa which is commonly used. Athato Brahmani Vyasa 1.1.1. After attaining association with devotees, one begins the inquiry concerning the Lord. Atha indicates sequence. Ataha indicates cause. In other words, Atha means and now. And Ataha means therefore. And now, comma, therefore, comma, one should engage in an inquiry about the Supreme Personality of God. That is the idea. All the commentators unpack the meaning of this. What is this? And now. What is the meaning of therefore? What is all this? The meaning is therefore. After this, one should inquire about Brahman. After a person has studied the Vedas according to the rules, has understood the meaning, and has been purified by following his ashrama duties and tenets like truthfulness, he attains the association of persons who know the truth. After attaining that association, he then realizes that the karmas or pious activities, material pious activities performed to fulfill material desires give limited temporary results. We understand that Brahman is attained through knowledge, through cultivation of spiritual knowledge, that he is eternal, infinite spiritual bliss, that he produces qualities like eternal knowledge in the self, and that he causes eternal happiness in the self. With this understanding, this person who has studied the Vedas and who has come to the association of the devotees of Brahman who are knowers of the truth, he rejects the rituals for material results, technically called Kamya Karma, and begins to inquire about the topics in the Brahma Sutras. Samshaya, notice Samshaya coming again.
Yeah.
So these are the 5 elements. So these things keep coming again. Samshaya, doubt. In other words, objection. It's an objector's doubt. By study of the Vedas, one can understand all about Brahman. Since by simply studying the Vedas, one will understand the meaning. From that, the mind will then reject karma and worship Brahman. What is the necessity of studying the Brahma Sutras? Simply by studying the Vedas, one will understand about karma, one will also understand about Brahman. Adhyayanasya artha avabodhana paryantatvam, because study culminates in understanding the meaning. Because in the Vedic system, first you memorize. Study is avriti mula hi vidya. Education means first of all you have to memorize. You don't memorize, they don't even teach you. I remember that I once went to one Pandit and told him, can you please teach me Pramaya Ratnavali? That Pandit, he said, so first you memorize this portion along with its commentary. And then you come for the first session. Then you recite what you have memorized. tell me what is stated there, then I will explain it. And then in that way we proceed further. Each time I will keep testing whether you remember what you memorized. So this is how traditional pundits study actually. But it culminates in understanding. You have to understand it and clear all misconceptions pertaining to that.
But it's interesting here how the doubt is partially accepting, okay, we should understand that the karmas are basically useless, but now we can understand this from the Vedas. You don't have to study Brahma Sutra in particular, so it's a subtler doubt now.
Yeah. Just honey. So through that study, when you get rid of all these unnecessary materialistic engagements in pious rituals, that upasanecha, and when you engage in the worship of Brahman, dhi pravartate, when one's intelligence arises, kimanaya chatur lakshanya iti chet. Mistake.
So it's very interesting that it seems just by purifying the consciousness, then the innate knowledge of the soul will surface.
But that is only actually in the Vedanta Sutra itself, these topics come up. What are all the different components which bring about realization of Brahman, Lord Krishna? It's you require to serve a guru. You need to basically study the scriptures and obey the scripture correctly. That's what it means. You need to study the scriptures and obey the scriptures correctly. Uchyate. So then the answer is given to this. Due to understanding the meaning of the Vedas superficially, one's intelligence can be destroyed by doubt and can take the opposite meaning of its statements. By studying the sutras, one can understand the conclusions of the Vedas and then can overcome doubt and mistaken meanings. One can thus become fixed in the highest truth. This will certainly happen by studying these sutras. Iti avashyakam tad. So therefore, this adhyayana, this study is mandatory. It's actually important. Just give me a minute. I'm not happy with this reading. Let me just get. Let me look at the edition that Bhaktivinoda Thakur liked. There was a particular Bengali edition that was printed. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur very much wanted that Gaudiya Vaishnava study the Govinda Bhasya. So a friend of his published. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I think, also contributed by giving a handwritten manuscript of Govinda Bhasya to that publisher. So in a different monitor, I'm just checking if the reading is correct. This is a bit in a minute. Avashyakam tadadhyayana. As suspected. Okay. Ayamartha. The meaning is this. The duties of the ashramas become limbs or assistants of knowledge because they purify the heart. In Vedic culture, all those who accept Vedic authority, they have certain common duties. In Bhagavatam also, 7th canto, 11th chapter, we come across a list of 30 principles which are meant to be accepted as common duties for all human beings. There are 21 items of cultivation of spiritual knowledge, and there are 9 items of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, and so on. So they are common duties, Samanya Dharma. Then apart from that, there are duties for each Varna. There are duties for each ashrama. There are duties for women. there are duties to be executed in times of crisis, apat. So here, in duties of the ashramas is a broader reference to that entire scheme. So those duties, those dharmas, they become assistants of knowledge, which means they assist in the process of cultivation of spiritual knowledge because they purify the heart. They purify the heart means they lead to freedom from lust, anger, greed, and so on. So this is their contribution. They cannot reveal the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, but they can take away that which is opposing, that which prevents us from perceiving the Supreme Lord. This is a theme which repeatedly occurs in Baladev Vidyabhushana's writings. Thus it is said, Etam Vedanu Vachanena Brahmana Vividishanti Yagyena Danena Tapasa Nashanena. The seekers of Brahman try to know him by study of the Vedas, brahmachari, by sacrifices, by acts of charity, grihastha, by austerities, vanaprastha, and by fasting, sannyasi. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4.4. So notice this particular reference. This is referring to seekers of Brahman. So they are already seekers of Brahman. Brahmana Vividishanti. They desire to know Brahman. They desire to know, understand, and realize Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. But at the same time, they are executing their respective ashrama duties, which is a further indication that they are also carrying out their varna duties, or if they are women, they are carrying out their duties as women. Because if we don't do these things, then lust, anger, greed cannot be surpassed. You cannot get out of it unless you carry out the common duties and the specific duty. Actions such as telling the truth, austerities, and japa also lead to Brahman. These are common duties. The previous ones are ashrama duties, which refers to actually specific duties. That's an expression for it, swadharma. Swadharma means specific duties. But sadharana dharma or samanya dharma refers to common duties. So common duties also lead to Brahman. Satyena labhyas tapasa hyesha atma samyak jnanena brahmacharyena nityam. This is evidence for that. One can realize a lot by truthfulness, austerity, knowledge, and celibacy. All of these are common duties. Mundaka Upanishad 3.1.5.
Can we say that these are just establishing one in the mode of goodness, and that's how they are assisting?
Yes. Coming to the platform of goodness, accepting only the items which are enlisted as fitting within goodness itself will help us move in that direction. See, on one hand, we need to get rid of obstacles. On the other hand, we need to, progress towards spiritual realization. We cannot progress towards spiritual realization as long as there are these other obstacles. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur therefore summarizes by saying that there are two things that need to be done in spiritual life. Paranushilanam, we need to cultivate, we need to engage in processes which lead to realization of God, the Supreme Being. On the other hand, pratyahara, we need to withdraw the senses from the external world, from the world of sense objects. So therefore, both are required.
Yeah, like Bhagavatam. In Bhagavatam, 12th canto, what was that verse? Vairagya Kyana Samyutam, Hari Lila Katavrata. So Bhagavatam teaches renunciation, and also Bhagavatam teaches the beautiful pastimes of the Lord which inspire devotion.
In 11th canto also we have Bhaktir Viraktir Bhagavat Prabodha. Bhakti Pareshana Bhavo Viraktir Anyatra Cha. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga.
Yeah.
I cannot have the cake and eat it too. It is not only the Shrutis who say this, even the Smritis say the same thing. Japyenaiva cha samsiddhye Brahma. Brahmano natra samshaya. Kuryad anyan nava kuryad. Maitro Brahmana uchyate. Maitro. Yes, it's not Maitro. It's Maitro. I don't remember what is stated here. Yes, Maitro Brahmana uchyate. Without a doubt, this is Manu. Without a doubt, a Brahmana will attain perfection by japa alone. Whether he performs other duties or not, he, the friend to all beings, is called a Brahmana. Manusmriti 2.87.
This
So
refers
there are Smriti statements like this. Sorry?
This refers to japa,
Japa,
chanting.
chanting. This is an indication that one can execute activities like japa. Worship of the Supreme Lord. That is the indication.
Yes.
Association with the person who knows the truth is the cause of jnana. Jnana, of course, refers to knowledge, understanding, and realization, the different stages of jnana. For instance, Narada began his inquiry about Brahman by association with Sanat Kumara. The Smriti state this, that Narada began his inquiry about Brahman by association with Sanat Kumara comes into Upanishads. The Smritis state this. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanenas tattvadarshinaha. Why?
Is this referring to the boy Brahmana and the Bhaktivedantas? The son of the maidservant?
It does not appear to be so. It appears to be Narada as Narada. We find, I think in either Chandogya or Vrindavan it comes now. Long discussion. Anyway, at some point I'm supposed to be teaching the Upanishads. At that time it will become clear. Know the Lord by surrender, questioning, and service. The seers of the truth, the Gyanis, will teach you this knowledge.
So here, the seers of the truth, what does it mean? That means just like
that means those who have come to the point where they uninterruptedly experience the Supreme Being in their hearts.
So this is which level of bhakti?
Prema Bhakti.
Oh, not nitya, not nishta. Sorry, not nishta.
Of course, there are elements of Vairagya, Vidya, and Bhakti at all stages. We know that. From Shraddha to Prema, at all stages, there are elements of Vairagya, Vidya, and Bhakti. So at each stage, they can and they should share what they know. But even a compliant student will only be able to attain that degree of Vairagya, Vidya, Bhakti as the person whom they are faithfully listening to.
Yeah, that's logical.
Yeah, you cannot give what you don't have. Kamya karmas, as opposed to karmas of the ashramas or japa, bear temporary results. Now there is something else called kamya karma. In Vedic culture, the teachers often recognize that, broadly speaking, there's a category of, there are two categories: prescribed activities, prohibited activities. Prescribed activities, vihita karma; prohibited activities, nishiddha karmas, or vidhis, nishedas. Within prescribed activities. Okay, then there is another category called kamya karma. Desired activities or desirable activities or allowed activities. Activities which are not really prescribed, nor are they prohibited, but they are just given as an option. If you want, you do it. If you want a son, you can execute a fire sacrifice called Putreshti Yagya. So that is not compulsory, but if you want, you do that. So these are called kamya karmas. Kamya karmas are very abundant in Vedic culture. in the Vedic system. In fact, that is what attracts pious conditioned souls. But Kamya karmas were temporary results, as opposed to karmas of the ashramas or japa. The karmas of the ashramas, of the varnas, these are all vihita karma. They are prescribed. They are not just allowed. They are not just allowances, they are prescriptions. And japa, which is an indication, which is a reference to, you can say, all kinds of common duties. That is also mandatory. They can provide spiritual benefits, but kamya karma provides temporary benefits. Tad yatheha karma chito loka kshiyante evam evamutra punya chito loka kshiyate. Just as places attained in this life as a result of actions in this life perish, places in a future life attained by pious acts of this life are also destroyed. This is a nice rendition. Chandogya Upanishad 8.1.6. So because the Chandogya Upanishad says this, therefore we come to the conclusion that the Kamya karmas bear temporary results. Brahman, however, is attained only by jnana. Brahmaivatu jnanaika gamyam. Brahman can be attained only through the process of jnana. Pariksha lokan karma chitan brahmano nirvejamayan nastya kritah kritena tadvijnanaartham sadgurumevabhigachet samitpani shrotriyam brahmanishtham. After examining all the worlds attained by karma, the brahmana will become indifferent. One cannot attain freedom from karma by acts of karma. In order to realize Brahman, a person carrying fuel in his hands must approach a learned teacher fixed in Brahman. Mundaka Upanishad 1.2.12. So on the strength of this Shruti statement from the Mundaka Upanishad, it is stated that Brahman, however, is attainable. Jnanaika gamyam is attainable only through the process of knowledge. In Vedanta Darshan, devotional service to Lord Vishnu is called jnana. Devotional service itself is considered, the expression that the Govinda Bhasya often uses is vidya. Vidya.
It's type of jnana, it's special type of knowledge.
It is knowledge. It is just another word for knowledge. It's a synonym for knowledge. That is because sometimes bhakti is also referred to as knowledge. Bhagavad Gita also. Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, Pavitram. So there we notice that devotional service is described as the king of all knowledge, Vidya. So there the commentators, they say that because it causes you to know, it is considered a process of knowledge. So it is not wrong to refer to it as knowledge. Just as Bhagavan can be referred to as Brahman, so Bhakti can be referred to as Vidya. It's already 12:30, we should stop now.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. So
next session we should have, it may take a few sessions, but I think it's useful.
It's very nice. Thank you. So I'm not sure, only one thing, how I'll get the recording for this.
I'll trace it out and I'll give you the link.
Okay.
It's somewhere, it's already there. Right now it's there. Within a few minutes, the link will come out.
Okay.
I just have to find out how it happens. I don't deal with this, so generally, I don't know. I just have to ask and find out. Okay, bro.
Thank you.
Very well.